Janet Jackson, whose illustrious career spanned for the better part of 4 decades, enduring success, tragedy, and nearly canceled.
This is my chance. I'll be Cher and you be Sunny. Okay?
That's my part.
She would begin her career in acting, starring on hit TV shows such as Good Times, Different Strokes, and Fame. Etching a career in music would only be inevitable, and in 1982, she would launch her debut album and enter a short-term marriage with James DeBarge, a member of another Motown family group. To gain independence from her father and then manager, Joe Jackson. She would ultimately sever ties with Joe Jackson professionally and look in another direction to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who would reinvent her sound and image forever.
Well, Ms. Gonzalez, I'm afraid you haven't done anything to demonstrate you're suited to regain custody of your son. I'm afraid this request is denied.
Come here, make your money, do what you need to do, and that's just the bottom line.
Hey, who's that babe on stage?
That's Butterfly, new phenomenon.
You don't have to be something that you're not wanting to be.
Homelessness is the result of making poor decisions, Reed.
What single attribute have you acquired to offer to this young man? That is, if you were indeed to regain custody of your son.
I'm afraid of having nothing to give. And right now, I have nothing to give.
Ma'am, you can't stop here and give away stuff to the homeless people. You gotta keep going.
You stay safe out here, hon. There's a lot of human traffickers.
Hey, this old girl. Picture you sent me, right?
Yeah, that's old girl from the spot the other night.
That money didn't come from Dino, did it?
She owe me loot, yo.
I finally understand why people lose their minds out here.
Yeah, she over here like a sitting duck. Make sure your next move is your best move. So we gonna make it happen.
Hey!
Please, God, let me grow big, beautiful wings so I can rise above this madness like a butterfly.
By 1986, Janet Jackson would be born again, and with the help of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, she would take on a new persona and a new sound, giving her new independence and catapulting her to new heights. Would establish her place as a legitimate artist. She would later follow up with Rhythm Nation and close out the 80s atop of the charts. And in 1991, she would marry Mexican dancer and songwriter Rene Elizondo Jr., who would also help guide her career. And by 1993, she would segue back into acting and star in the John Singleton film Poetic Justice alongside the legendary rapper Tupac Shakur. And the same year, she would release her 5th studio album, simply titled Janet. And prior to its release, Jackson was at the center of a high-profile bidding war over her recording contract. And while Janet was at the pinnacle of her career, her older brother Michael was in the crossfire of scrutiny, undergoing allegations of child molestation. So Janet would accompany him on his history album, Scream. The rest of the 90s would bring a blur of success, both in music and in film. In the 1996 feature film, The Klumps. She would also reinvigorate her image, both as a sex symbol, becoming more alluring and provocative. But by the turn of the century, the musical landscape would present younger talent that Janet would have to contend with, such as Aaliyah, Alicia Keys, and Beyoncé. And by 2002, her marriage to Rene Elizondo would dissolve, and she would begin dating Jermaine Dupri, who would keep her relevant and again help her to reshape her image and sound. By this time, Janet would go into the lab to produce her 8th studio album, Damita Jo, to be released on March 30th, 2004 by Virgin Records. The album's title, Damita Jo, was in commemoration of her middle name. And to promote the album, she would book a performance at Super Bowl 38's halftime show prior to the album's release, which ended in Jackson's breasts being accidentally exposed by surprise guest Justin Timberlake. This would have a major effect on the album's commercial performance. Conglomerates involved with the broadcast who received massive fines by the U.S. FCC, including Viacom and CBS, and subsidiaries like MTV and Infinity Broadcasting, would enforce a blacklist on Jackson's singles and music videos. Although Timberlake remained unaffected, the blacklisting drew controversy amongst critics, who declared the album and its singles to likely have been commercially successful had the incident not occurred. Complaints included CBS executive Les Moonves, who felt he wanted a public apology from Janet Jackson. More than anything else, Moonves felt that he had been publicly embarrassed. The pressure on her had to be significant, notes Kathy Hughes, founder and chairperson of Urban One, Incorporated, of Jackson's career. White executives always start with the premise of what is acceptable to their white audience. Moonves, the CEO of CBS, would have a years-long vendetta against Jackson for embarrassing him and failing to adequately repent for what he believes was an intentional stunt meant to drum up controversy. Janet would issue a public apology, yet would be banned from the Grammys as a presenter and discouraged from attending the show at all, thus losing a valuable opportunity to promote her new album, Damita Jo. Timberlake won an award that night and offered a brief apology to anyone offended by the unintentional, completely regrettable incident. This was a complete 180 from the comments he made to Access Hollywood the night of the Super Bowl, which cheekily implied the knit slip might have been intentional. A few days later, likely around the same time, he was allegedly begging Moonves for his forgiveness. Timberlake was suddenly a lot less adamant that the incident was accidental, and instead portrayed himself as an unwilling participant, leaving Jackson to carry the burden all by herself. Les Moonves discouraged all CBS affiliates from promoting Janet's new album in any manner because he didn't feel she was apologetic enough. In the midst of her ordeal, Janet would attend her brother Michael's abuse trial and would staunchly defend her brother amid the allegations that he sexually abused young boys. Janet would contend that Michael would never do something like that, yet she herself would be guilty by association. Even more dramatically, it would cause Janet to lose out on a Coca-Cola deal due to the initial allegations levied against Michael in 1993. After Michael's acquittal, Janet would press on and star in the Tyler Perry film, Why Did I Get Married? In 2008. Although she would enjoy success with her film career, she would also continue to tour and maintain her strong fan base. Yet despite this, rumors of infidelity on the part of Jermaine Dupri would cause their relationship to suffer, and the two would go their separate ways. On June 25th, 2009, her brother Michael Jackson the family's meteoric star, would succumb to an overdose of propofol at the hands of Conrad Murray and would die suddenly due to cardiac arrest. Janet would then channel her raw emotion into the excellent performance in the sequel to Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married 2? By 2010, Janet would begin dating Wissam Al-Mana, a billionaire Qatar businessman who was in charge of 55 companies covering fashion, engineering, and real estate. And by 2012, the two would marry. And by the ripe age of 50, she would have a son named Alyssa. In 2017, the singer would then decide to file for divorce on the basis of cultural differences from her billionaire husband shortly after she gave birth to her son, Alyssa. Wissam Al-Mana also kept his own part of the bargain by giving Jackson the sum of $200 million after they parted ways. In January 2022, Janet Jackson would release a 4-part docuseries chronicling her life, from her beginnings in Gary, Indiana, to her rising stardom in Hollywood. Janet continues her legacy by touring the world over. She's managed to carve out her own identity and establish herself as a musical giant in her own right, independent of the royalty of her family name, being the consummate professional and creating herself anew. Janet Jackson is an anomaly. She's overcome the pressures of success, disappointing laws, and the era of cancel culture. Thanks for watching. For more videos like this, click like and subscribe to Intrigue. Thanks for watching.